Hello, our dear viewers, and welcome to a new edition of the Daily Debate. Indeed, today we are going to talk about the tourism industry in Egypt, but we'll start with a quick look at the top stories of today, where President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and his Chadian counterpart Mohammed Idris Deby held talks in New Alaa city, which focus on boosting bilateral ties at all levels. In addition to a number of African files of mutual concern, including the situation in Sudan and the Horn of Africa, as well as the community of Sahel and Sahara states. The two leaders stressed the significance of achieving ceasefire in Sudan in order to realize the interests of its people who suffer the brunt of the ongoing war on the Sudanese land and who also suffer from an escalating humanitarian crisis which necessitates a quick interference to diminish their suffering. On Libya, President Sisi and President Deby confirmed that the two countries would support all efforts aimed at attaining stability as well as enhancing peace in the Sahel region to confront continuous terrorist activities. During the meeting, President Sisi highlighted Egypt's keenness to provide full support for the brothers in Chad at all levels through transferring and sharing of expertise in the field of building Chadian capacities. For his part, the Chadian leader hailed extended and deep bilateral ties and confirmed his country's keenness to develop cooperation with Egypt in various domains, praising Egypt's support to Chad over decades, as well as its efforts to bolster the Chadian people to realize development. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli held a press conference in New Alaa city on Tuesday following a weekly cabinet meeting during which he said the International Monetary Fund's approval to release the third tranche of an expanded loan is a trust document in the government working plan and an important step towards achieving the state's vision regarding economic reforms. The Prime Minister reiterated his government's commitment to push forward efforts to reduce the debt burden on the GDP. He said the international crises had negative repercussions on Egypt, adding that investments and economic procedures had succeeded in solving hard currency crises. The Prime Minister said his government was able to achieve positive economic indications of the state's budget during the current fiscal year, despite the domestic and global economic pressures, adding that it was following up providing basic commodities across markets in line with reducing the pricing. The IMF announced that Egypt will receive the first tranche of the expanded loan agreement with the International Monetary Fund next week and said the expanded $8 billion financial support program enables the immediate release of $820 million. And to the topic of our debate today, which is the tourism in Egypt, the government recently gave the go-ahead to a new £50 billion initiative to bolster the tourism sector through building and operating new hotel rooms. More details on the following story.
The government recently gave the go-ahead to a new £50 billion initiative to bolster the tourism sector through building and operating new hotel rooms, including expansions of existing projects or converting closed buildings into hotel facilities. These expansions are projected to significantly strengthen the national economy, generating annual revenues estimated between $1 to $2 billion, excluding other taxes. The funding aims to accelerate investments in construction and finish efforts and is subject to prior approval from the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities. The initiative aligns with the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities' strategic vision to attract 30 million tourists, looking to increase Egypt's hotel room capacity by 240,000 to 250,000 units. The financing is subject to several conditions, including a maximum financing limit. Companies are restricted to 1 billion Egyptian pounds for a single company and 2 billion for a client and its related parties, with a maximum of 2 banks involved. The initiative will prioritize funding hotel rooms expansions in key areas such as Al-Qusr, Aswan, Greater Cairo, the Red Sea, South Sinai, Sharm el-Sheikh, Taba, Nuweiba and Dahab. Applications for the initiative will be open for 1 month from the launch date and will remain accessible for 12 months. Under these terms, companies benefit from a reduced interest rate of 12% on a declining basis, subsidized by the Ministry of Finance to cover the difference in interest rates. This rate aims to incentivize swift deployment and commencement of services for the newly constructed hotel rooms. The initiative is projected to create approximately 45,000 new direct and indirect job opportunities, contributing to the government's efforts to reduce unemployment rates through increased private sector investment. The funding is not to be used for repaying existing debts within the banking sector. Government emphasized, stressing its focus on expanding Egypt's tourism infrastructure. The initiative also supports the development of new tourism products, leveraging Egypt's cultural heritage and historic sites. Minister of Tourism and Antiquities, Minister Khalifa, stated the ministry's most prominent goals are to reach 30 million tourists, whilst working to diversify tourism patterns, exploiting tourism components present in Egypt and maximizing their benefit.
Welcome back, our dear viewers. Now we are very much delighted to be joined by Mr. Alaa Khalifa, our tourism expert and international tourism marketing expert, to shed light about the tourism in Egypt. Thank you very much, Mr. Khalifa, for being with us today.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
Sir, how do you view Egypt's efforts to push forward the tourism sector as a major economic driver?
I think it has been a very important milestone in our effort to reform our economy, is to realize that the tourism industry is a major player in reforming the economy by increasing the tourism revenue, the revenue that comes out from tourism industry, by increasing the number of arrivals, by increasing the number of room nights into the country. We're able to give boosters to the economy by adding more sources of hard currency. The Egyptian government, in my opinion, have realized this many years ago throughout so many initiatives to support the tourism industry. And I think we're going in the right direction right now. We just need to refine our marketing campaigns and the way how we look into how the world is perceiving us. Empowering Egypt's soft power is the most important thing at this stage. The image that people are having about Egypt as a touristic destination. And then offering premium class services by taking care of training our first line of personnel that deals with travelers in order to leave a very good touristic experience with them.
Yeah. From your point of view as an expert in marketing for tourism in particular, sir, what are the channels that we should be following in order to reach that? You have mentioned very important points here in order to boost the tourism sector and to reach our 30 million tourist target. First, as you have mentioned, we have to leave a good impression and to train the people who are dealing with the tourists, which is a very important element that we actually need to work on. So to market for our tourism here in Egypt, what should be our top headlines that we should use in order to do proper marketing for our beautiful destinations?
Let me be more specific and more deep into what I'm going to tell you. In order to drive that large number of travelers into a country, which is almost double what you have currently having, it requires a lot of it has a lot of challenges, and it requires a lot of efforts, and it should be a very strategic plan. And this strategic plan or a strategy for developing that large number of tourists or arrivals into the country requires us to look into how to focus, how to bring that large number. So many different analysts, experts they're coming every day in TV shows, and they're talking about as if it's adding a 30 million or a 15 million travelers extra to the 15 that we have achieved last year is something as a piece of cake within the next 6 years. That's not going to happen. We have to realize two things. There's no tourism without connectivity, without flights, connectivity. And there is no tourism without accommodation. So if you are able to fulfill those two parts, you are ready to receive that large number. Okay, the current number of rooms that we have right now is 211,000 rooms. That's enough for 15-16 million travelers maximum. Okay, So what we need is another 200,000 or 250,000 rooms in order to reach the capacity of 30 million. So we need almost double the capacity.
Yeah.
And hence you find this kind of very kind initiative that of the $1 billion initiative, the 50 billion Egyptian pounds, right? That's presented by the government to the tourism entities, especially to hotels, to hospitality partners, in order to be able to take these loans at a very low cost or low interest rates, and then able to build or expand their hotels, and then they are able to recuperate these expenses and pay out the debt out of the income that will come. Right. So we need 250,000 rooms minimum, okay, or 200,000 rooms minimum. The actual cost of each room between 4 to 5 star, we're talking about $20,000 or $25,000 maximum for 5 star. Okay, which means that you need at least $5 billion to $6 billion in order to cover the construction of all of these different units. Right now, we are giving an incentive of $1 billion in terms of a low interest loan, which is a very good initiative, very good step in order to encourage those owners of these hotels to expand. And secondly, what we need to look after is to increase the number of these accommodation facilities by allowing new types of accommodation facilities, such as holiday homes, such as serviced apartments, such as hotel apartments. Okay, you need to allow all of these things. You need to start giving licenses to all the local entities, all these different apartments. Give them licenses to work as a touristic facilities that are able to receive tourists with certain guarantee. The second major part, what I call it the second axis in our strategic marketing plan to attract the 15 million travelers, is to look into the aviation industry. How many connectivity we have, how many cities are connecting to us. If we have, let's say, 100 destinations, we need to make them 160 destinations. How to do that? In order to give incentives. I know we are in that. I've read a very kind and positive statement for the Minister of Aviation, God bless him. He released a statement that the next phase is that they're going to encourage foreign investment coming into Egypt, especially in the aviation industry, especially in the airport industry, especially in running our airports. This is a very good step because it means expansion. It means bigger capacity. When you have bigger capacity for airports, for flights, for connectivity, you are able to attract far more airlines to come to your destination. Let's say, so the second axis of our strategic marketing plan, what I'm telling you, this is if I run the whole show, this is what I'm going to focus. I'll focus on the hotel industry. I'll focus on expanding and increasing the hotel rooms and adding more elements or more, I would say, types of accommodation, such as hotel apartments, service apartments, holiday homes, and all of that. And then for the aviation industry, I will be refining the major access airports. I will expanding these airports. I would be simply giving an opportunity to build Terminal 4 in Cairo Airport, and then perhaps make it that covers a large part of the areas in the world that are not connecting to us. Do you know that Latin America is not connecting to us directly? You know, North America is only connected to us through our local airline. It's not by their local airline. Okay, and there are areas in Southeast Asia are not connected to us. So how are we going to be bring? These are long haul flights. These are like more than 5 hours flights, which can contribute to up to 20 to 25% of our capacity of those targeted travelers. However, the 75% come from the short haul flights, which are 3 to 5 hours, which is Europe and the area around us, and the Gulf and the area around us. But overlooking that part of the long-haul flights can be also decreasing the number of travelers for us, because we need to reach out to those people, because other markets and other competition are reaching out to them. Okay, so go back to the airports. It's important. There's so many ways that we can be very innovative and very, very creative to bring millions of travelers to us, millions of people. At least they can spend a night or 2 nights in the city. At least it's making it a hub, a stopover. Why don't we think about building a top-class, world-class, high-end Terminal 4, for example, next to Cairo Airport, for example, that are able to accommodate all these airlines, bigger airlines that are not yet landing in our airports. Secondly, why don't we reach out to the United States, for example, for the Homeland Security, and ask them to do pre-clearance for American flights in Cairo Airport, like they do it in Abu Dhabi, like they do it in Manchester Airport. If you do pre-clearance at Cairo Airport, it's just a very good reason by building a new terminal and give them access to the pre-clearance, especially for, which means stamping immigration in Cairo Airport, entering the United States, for example. That means that flights will be flying here. This will give American airlines a way to land here and regularly operate. And also it's going to be a hub for all African countries to come to do their pre-clearance here in Cairo Airport before they fly out to the US. That's another idea. So we have so many ideas that can be, once they've been adopted, and with the right criteria, with the right investment, and we can work it out. I mean, funding these things can work out on a pot basis, Yeah,
of course.
Build, operate, and transfer, right? So we can do it this way. We can do it either in the hotel industry, we can do it in the aviation industry. There are so many other access, so many other factors that will help us to increase that by increasing, for example, in refining the touristic experience inside the country. The touristic experience means it's about time to take the tourists out of the capsule that we've been putting in, isolating him from the local society, and try as much as we can just to keep him, engaged with different experiences into the country. This way we can guarantee a return of those travelers. It's not enough just to increase the number of travelers that they go and never come back. We increase them, and then we help them to refine the touristic experience by presenting them better service, better experience, whether these experiences on touristic sites, or whether into using public services, or whether at banking sectors or financial sectors, or at accommodation, facilities, and once everything, once the experience has been refined, they will love it. And when you love an experience, you always repeat it.
Of course. Sir, we'll take this report, and after that we'll be back to our debate here. The expectations are high in Egypt as an increase in the tourist numbers toward the end of 2024, while the authorities have highlighted the stability of the tourism sector in several Egyptian locations. More details in the following report.
Expectations are high in Egypt for an increase in tourist numbers towards the end of 2024. Authorities have highlighted the stability of the tourism sector in several Egyptian locations, particularly in the Red Sea region. They say that a significant number of tourists from Germany are visiting Hurghada, whilst Italians prefer Marsa Alam, as the European market continues to see Egypt as a primary destination, with tourists from Germany, Britain, Poland and Italy, among other countries, having the country high on their list of desirable places to visit. The Red Sea Governorate is rich with its cities and enchanting beaches, making it a major destination for many foreign tourists. Domestic tourism in Egypt has substantially compensated the tourism market, with Egyptian tourists boosting hotel occupancy rates from 85% to 95% in the first half of 2024. This region includes locations like Hurghada, El Gouna, Makadi, El Qusayr, Marsa Alam and Safega. World Travel and Tourism Council expects Egypt's tourism sector to expand its contribution to the national GDP to nearly 988 billion Egyptian pounds in 2024, constituting 8.1% of Egypt's economy. International tourist spending is expected to increase by 6.2%, nearing 500 billion Egyptian pounds, whilst domestic spending could surpass 340 billion Egyptian pounds. In 2023, Egypt's tourism sector contributed around 24% of the country's GDP in 2023, recording around 953 billion Egyptian pounds, almost 21% above its previous highest level. Across sector jobs, international and domestic visitor spending, the sector fully recovered last year to reach its record-breaking levels. Domestic visitor spending saw a 9% year-on-year increase, surpassing 328.5 billion pounds, while spending by international visitors surged by 38.5% to reach 470.4 billion pounds. Jobs supported by the sector also grew, expanding by nearly 10% to over 2.5 million, the equivalent of 1 in 12 jobs across Egypt. The travel and tourism sectors made an extraordinary recovery, surging past previous records, with officials highlighting the sector's resilience and its critical contribution to the local economy.
And continuing our interview here with Mr. Alaa Khalifa, our international marketing tourism expert. Sir, with the ongoing efforts to further develop the vital industry in Egypt, to what extent we are in the position to lead the tourism and to be a hub for the tourism industry? And as you have kindly mentioned, as we were talking, that as the flights could increase with Africa and with Latin America and with the United States, we could be actually a transit hub as well for many tourists. How that could be achieved, Mr. Khalifa?
First of all, we need to, as I mentioned before in my statement, we need to refine the experience inside the airports. We need to ease access and also in and out of these airports. We also need to give incentive programs. These special programs are actually for those transit travelers that are coming for a day or two and connected to another flights. So many countries have done this. For example, Saudi Arabia. When Saudi Arabia had a new management for their national airline, they decided immediately any ticket for any from any destination that are actually doing a transit in Saudi Arabia will be allowed to go into Saudi Arabia for 48 hours, so sometimes for 3 days, in order to experience the kingdom. So we are able to do that. We are able, and we can cost it into the tickets. You know, there are so many ways that we are able to attract travelers. There is a second idea that I told you, to do pre-clearance for the United States entry. For the Homeland Security, they have pre-clearance in Manchester, they have it in Abu Dhabi, Manchester for European countries, Abu Dhabi I think for Asian countries. We can have pre-clearance in Cairo Airport for African countries. So we can attract all those Africans who are going to travel, you know, to the U.S. and do their pre-clearance, you know, with an agreement with the U.S. We can do that. We can also add experiences into the new terminal that we are expanding, Cairo Airport, to take more capacity. I told you that the Minister of Aviation aims for 75 million travelers every year throughout this airport, and it's becoming a hub. It's becoming a big hub. Egypt Air is expanding its routing, you know, its airline connections and destinations to a lot of European, for a lot of African countries. So we have an opportunity. That's true. We have an opportunity, and that opportunity is there, and it's coming. And I think we can be #1 airlines through this. This will help our national airlines. This will help our local economy. It will help also finding more jobs. There are many ways that can contribute to a successful marketing campaign. Let's do the first engagement. Let's engage with stakeholders. let's engage with local markets and international markets. Let's find out what exactly the requirements. Let's meet the requirements. Let's attract them, get them over. Let's open up destinations for them, and then let's refine the experience inside the country. Do you know that 5 years ago, nearly 5 years ago, there have been a ministerial decree that anyone with a residency in GCC countries is able to enter Egypt without having to pre-apply for a visa. You can get a visa at the airport. So you get Indians, you get Pakistanis, you get Filipinos, you get 180 different nationalities that are of those who have residency. And do you know that until this very moment, you know, no one of those 25 million people who are living in the GCC area know about this and aware about this, and every single person of them is asking every single day, am I allowed to come to Cairo Airport? That's because we have not targeted this area by spreading the word among them, hey, you can get the visa
at the airport.
These countries, you have to know that those expats living in these countries, they come thousands of miles away from their homes. All right, you don't expect people come from Philippines or come from Malaysia or come from other countries who live in the GCC areas, who come specially for Egypt. But since they are in clear proximity to Egypt, which is nearly 2.5 hours to 3 hours, it's easier for them when they take their annual vacation. And those they have high income, when you go and take an annual vacation, they can spend it in Egypt. But many of them are not eligible to get a visa upon arrival, but because they have residency, they are eligible, but they don't know that. And nobody told them that, because our marketing campaigns are focused on different areas. So what we need to do is just to focus to where you are being perceived well. They want, one of their dreams is to come and visit the country, so you can add at least 1 million traveler extra every year. There is the Indian market, which is an outbound market of nearly 45 million travelers every year that come out of the Indian market. There is so many segments comes out of the Indian market, such as the wedding segment. We need to take care of that. There is the Chinese market. There is the CIS market, which is Russia and the old country, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and all of these countries. All of these different areas, if we focus, there is the European Union as well, which is a big supplier of travelers into our country, almost 8 million travelers that come out from the European Union. So we will work with those traditional markets, but we also have to reopen these other markets, and we have to speak the language. We have to give them the right marketing message, you know, exactly as we are marketing ourselves. And we have to reach out to these different people. So my suggestion and my recommendation, if anyone here listening to me, because I've said that nearly 10 years ago and I'm saying it again in more than 140 interviews, if you want to market this country, if you want to market any destination, you want to market it right, what you need to do is to segment the world into 5 or 6 different destinations, and then each of these destinations will have number of countries, 20, 15 countries altogether, that has combined cultures, combined segments, things that are shared together, and then give it to one company to market it for you. And then go to another area, let's say Europe, you can divide Europe into 3 different segments. In Latin America, you divide it into North Latin America and South Latin America. You can do Caribbean, you can do Africa, and you can divide Africa into 3 areas, Middle, North, and South. You come to GCC, you can do one company. So you have 7, 8 different companies that are able to share your marketing vision and your marketing campaign and present your marketing message based on a current media plan. This media plan has media buying of different social media, of utilizing advertising the right way, addressing these different advertising campaigns to these different people in different languages that are more easy for those people to comprehend and understand. And when you do that, you will be able to create the right KPI. You'll be able to bring more and more people, be able to bring more and more attention. There are no marketing company in the world that are able to cover 180 countries around the world. So giving one whole marketing campaign to one company, no matter how big it is, will never be able to cover the world, never be able to meet the resources. What we need to do is to segment each of these areas around the world into, let's say, 10 segments, and each of these segments will have one company responsible for them, and each of these companies then will be competing against each other. Each one would like to show better KPI, like to show better performance, because they needed their contract to be renewed for the next following year. That's the right way, attracting, engaging more travelers, and then finally getting the right conversion. But before you do that, you need to go at the exact same time and look after how much of an accommodation you have, how much an increase you're adding every year.
To be ready.
To be ready, to organize the house from inside, and then refine the transportation industry, allowing travel companies to bring buses that are 5 years back. You know, there are very good quality buses you can bring. And allow, so you can refine the transportation experience, you can refine roads. We have done a fantastic jump in the road quality that we are in Egypt right now. Safety, we also have done a greater part of the safety, but it's important that we focus on opening to airline, adopting open sky policy, you know, for our airports, adding, we built so many airports, little airports that are helping, Sphinx airports, and we're having also Burj Al Arab Airport. So many of these airports are helping out, you know, to, of course, they are servicing areas such as North Coast, servicing other areas.
Of course.
And if we are able to focus on our marketing, I do all the time marketing campaigns, right? And when I put out a strategic plan, I study the analytics that comes out from each destination, and I see which of these destinations are trending, where is the trend, you know, and how countries are being perceived, you know. That's what we need to do. That's what we need to, building up the right plan, execute the plan. I often met those people who are putting the plans for us, and I asked them a question: do you execute the plan? He said, no, I put the plan. But you would never know how your plan is working without executing them. Okay? So this is what I'm telling you, is that in the future, we need to do that segmented. And when you market these destinations that we have, do not market them as one entity. Do not market the country as one entity. No. You need to separate each of these entities, each of these rising stars in the country. Market Marsa Alam alone, market Hurghada alone, market Sharm el-Sheikh alone, market Luxor alone, market North Coast alone, El Alamein marketed alone. You know, why? Because if anything, God forbid, happens, then the perception, it does not reflect on a whole destination. So at least it will only affect one area. It doesn't affect, so you have to create brands and sub-brands, and that's the right way for marketing a destination in 2024.
Sir, also we have been hearing a lot about the keenness of the government to work on establishing yachting tourism in Egypt. To what extent we could succeed in the yachting tourism, which is a very competitive tourism, if we consider other nearby neighboring countries which are doing very well in that domain, like of course Turkey.
I've spoken about this in several interviews before about the yachting tourism, and what we have right now, the South Med area, our area, and it's very smart, by the way, to call it South Med. And then we have the north of the Mediterranean, which are full of different destinations, competing destinations that are attracting nearly 210,000 yachts every year, right? Then the question is, why these yachts? We need to study that. Why these yachts are stopping there and not going all the way down to the south of the Mediterranean? The reason for that is because of the amount of facilities that are being given in the north different than the south. So for the south, for example, you are not giving any incentive. You're not incentivizing those yachts in order to come and spend a few days. You're charging them by the hour, you're charging them by the day, you're overcharging them for the fuel, for the logistics. You are restricting their movement and then you're asking them why you're not coming to us, right? On the other hand, you get destinations like, for example, Croatia, Italy, for example, Croatia, for example, they wanted to attract thousands of new yachts, you know, luxury yachts, so they're coming out from Italy and Sicily and these areas. So what they did, they came during the summertime and they offer fuel for free for yachts. So all the yachts went over there and they spent more than they spent on the fuel.
Of course.
Right? And then the moment they went there, and then it was just an initiative for a couple of months.
Yeah.
And then when they went there and tasted the good taste of the beautiful shores of Croatia, what they did, the next following year they went over there, right? Now, in France, for example, or in Spain, for example, the number of marine ports that are able to receive the yachts are by the thousands, almost 200,000, right? When you look at the number of marine ports that are in the Mediterranean, they're not even 4,000. So there is a huge difference in number of which are ready to receive and give logistics. And so what we need to do, attract, give facilities, give incentives, because what you will invest today in incentives will come back to you 10 times ROI in the future, because people are experiencing you. And those yachts, what they do is that they want to repeat the experiences all the time. They have had a good experience in one destination, they would want to repeat it, because not every yacht that comes into a destination comes with the exact same owner. Most of the time they have more people into these yachts. Most of the time they are chartered yachts. So the experience itself, once it's been refined, it's a word of mouth. The word of mouth starts to spread out, then yacht owners, they have clubs, they have associations that will start spread out, and then they will say, yep, that's a new destination we need to go and discover, and so on and so. That's my opinion how we market it. We need to give facilities, we need to give an open hour policy,
and refine
and we need to refine, and we need to trust. And you know what? One of the things that I've noticed through a large survey that I've conducted in these yachts as a marketeer is that sometimes we are making it difficult for owners of these yachts to be serviced by making it difficult for the nationalities on board to have entries. For example, you have a yacht and you have 3 people from, let's say, India, 2 from Philippines, 4 from, and those people, in order to enter the country, they need a pre-arrival visa, right? So you're forbidding them from entering the country, but those people are working as a team on board of these boats. If you look at many of the European countries, they give them like a temporary permit to go for a day, for a week, so that you can carry logistics and everything. So the yacht owners, they know that those people will be able to bring the logistics, and this is their livelihood. And they, most probably, they actually get more income in the yacht than if they live in these European countries, right? Because they will be illegal immigrants in these countries rather than being very, very legal on the yachts, right? So when they come down to these destinations, or to our area of destination, and we tell them, yeah, you'll be able to get in, you too, but those people are not in. So that deter owners of these yachts from even repeating the experience.
Of course.
It's like, the people who are serving me are not able to perform their duty of serving me, because they can't enter the country, they can't get me their suppliers, they cannot join me on my services, they cannot join me on these destinations. What is the fun in that? So we need to create some sort of a policy for the minor staff working in these yachts to have an entry. Even if it's a short entry, a 1-week entry, how many millions of refugees and how many millions of people that we're receiving in the country? It's not like those people are not going to be refugees. They're coming here to spend money. They have a lot of money. They're not going to spend it in the sea. They're not going to spend it in the sea. Imagine those people are receiving salaries and receiving money, and they have it and they can't spend it. The only way to spend it is in the ports. And then we're keeping them because they don't have a
Are
pre-arrival
the ports now
visa.
ready to
Yes.
receive this kind of...
So all of these different ideas, if we look at them with an eye of mercy, if you look at them with a better eye of understanding, you will be able to attract those people. But before you do that, never do the mistake when you allow the people who are having a residency inside the GCC countries, and then you never told them, right? So what you need to do is that get your your marketing companies that are doing the marketing campaigns, just tell them, you need to focus on a campaign on that. You need to focus on a campaign on that. So anything delegated comes out of you as an idea, as a new idea, that are going to facilitate, support, execute a good marketing message. You need to deliver the marketing message. There's no point of having something luxurious into a vitrine and you cover it with a piece of cloth. You need to refine it. You need to polish it. You need to show it to the rest of the world. So my idea as a marketing, as a tourism marketing, I'm telling you, is that put out these ideas into action, study them well, to put the right analytics, study them well, get the right, measure the KPI. Once you find the KPI is very much worth and it will return, bring you the ROI that you want against your ad spend, do it, because it will regenerate your tourism much more and add that segment to your tourism. But by the policy that it's an amazing thing that our political leadership is embracing this, because they have that vision, okay? And I wish to see a lot of people have that exact same vision, because it's important that you know that people act on a level of experience. If you don't provide the experience in a full, complete experience, you are not providing memories. When you are not providing memories, people will never come back to you. If they come back once, they will never come back to you. So you need to think every step of the way. It's like this TV show. We can't be doing this without having a director somewhere who's directing this, right? So the whole scene, tourism scene, has to be directed. And the direction comes out from creating the experience. If you don't refine the touristic experience in every step of the way, in every step of your marketing plan, you will only have a one-time traveler. We never have a repeated traveler. The 59 million tourists that come to Turkey every year, they come because of the experience. Those who go to France, they go because of the experience. Those who go to Italy, the 69 million that go to Italy every year, they go because of the experience. The 90 million travelers that go to the United States, they go because of the experience. Refine the experience, things will be better, and you can reach the 30 million tourists.
Mr. Alaa Khalifa, our international tourism marketing expert, thank you so much for being our guest for today.
It's always a pleasure,
sir.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Our dear viewers, with that we come to the end of this edition of our Daily Debate. Till tomorrow with another cruise. Goodbye. Many thanks for watching.